Today's book belongs to the Nerd Fighters. We're going to be talking about Looking for Alaska by John Green. John Green is one of the two people, him and his brother Hank, who founded Nerd Fighters, which is an online community that's basically dedicated to making the world a better place by decreasing world suck levels, which are usually very high. And we work as hard as we can to try and bring those levels down to a more tolerable level. So, this is John Green's first book, and it's actually the one I connected with the most, and it's my favorite. So, just to give you a quick review of this book, it's about a boy named Pudge. His real name is Miles, but he goes to a boarding school to go and have some excitement in his life because he feels kind of like he's not really getting anywhere or having any adventures. So he goes to this boarding school called Culver Creek and is immediately nicknamed Pudge because he's so skinny. It's one of those ironic nicknames. And he's having all of these adventures and he meets all these wonderful people and these crazy characters. And one of the people he meets is called Alaska. And if I remember correctly, her parents waited for a while and told her she could choose her name. And she spun a globe and she just stopped it. And where her finger landed was Alaska, and she said that is her name. So she's a very wild woman, and she is pretty much everything Pudge never could be. Because Pudge is kind of reserved, and he spent his whole life just kind of making it. And there's Alaska, who's wild and who doesn't worry about things and who just is focused on having a good time all the time. And it's really what Pudge idolized, I guess, about her. And if I haven't mentioned it before, Alaska is beautiful, so obviously Pudge falls in love with her. And it's a very, very touching story. Pudge is obsessed with last words. I don't know if I'd say obsessed, but he's very into last words and spends a lot of time looking into and memorizing and learning famous last words. One of the last words that he is especially focused on throughout this is the idea of seeking a great perhaps. And those were the last words of a dying poet. He said he was going to seek his great perhaps. And Pudge has taken that idea and is just running with it through this novel. He's trying to find his great perhaps. And that especially stuck with me really well too, and I've always been kind of fascinated with the idea of seeking my own great perhaps since then. And another really cool thing about this is Alaska has this really awesome idea called her Life's Library, and she has huge collections of books, stacks and shelves everywhere. All of these books that she calls her Life's Library that she plans to read someday. And I really like that idea also and have incorporated that into my life. I'm working on my Life's Library, and it's nowhere near as massive as Alaska's, but I think that someday it might be. So, yes, that's another really cool concept from this book. I really recommend it. It's actually a very emotional story. I can't really tell you what happens because it basically will ruin the book. So, just read it, especially if you're a nerd fighter and you haven't yet. Go read this book because there are a lot of things in it that will not only probably just interest you, but are not frequently, but are sometimes referenced. And it'll make you feel more like you're on the same page as everyone. So it's a really good book. Go read it, blah, blah, blah. And I will see you guys on Monday when Logan puts up his video. Bye!